Welcome to Compression, the quest to $100 million in just 1 year. Join me, your host, Logan Freeman, in this one-of-a-kind interactive podcast experience where I am on a quest to compress 3 years of achievement and production into 12 months. And no, the answer is not to just work harder. I'm bringing you not only ideas and concepts that are complete at the theoretical level, but they're also effective at the applied level. Look, guys, knowledge is not power. It is potential power. Knowledge plus massive strategic action equals power. We're talking about strategy, systems, accountability, all in real time. This is Compression.
And we're back for another episode of the Compression Podcast. You know, Jerome, I had a good idea. I think that next year, it's weird to even say that, but next year there might be, how many letters are in compression? I think it's a little more than, I think there's only 10 letters in compression, but I had an idea that maybe next year we'll do a letter a month, confidence, omnipresence, and magnitude, multitude, positive, patient, present, resilient, excellent, strong, stoic. What else am I missing?
I gotta go down the list. It's so many.
Anyways, my idea is this: every month we will feature a new value, a new trait of a compressor, and have that be the theme for that month. And each week doesn't need to be focused exactly on that, but you'll bring some good feedback on how we build confidence, omnipresence, and magnitude and multitude every single month. So got a new idea. The Compression Podcast is evolving. There might be some other evolutions of this show for sure. But that's one idea that I've had. Just got off the golf course, got the new habit, the new hobby and habit, and got the bug of playing golf. And, it's not like I'm going out there just for leisure all the time. I have a lot of competitive drive that I need to put into things. And yes, it's good for my business to be competitive and have that focus there. But golf is helping me to unwind and let the extra juice out on the golf course so I can swing out when I'm with my family. And we've talked a lot about the swinging in and swinging out. And yeah, I like to get outside. It's good, good activity and all that good stuff. And I can have meetings on the golf course. I had a meeting this morning with 2 investors, and, that was a fruitful meeting because one of them is investing in our next project. So, at the end of the day, I think it's a good outlet for my competitive drive, but also being able to unwind a little bit and know that, hey, on Friday or on Sunday or whatever, I can go let loose on the golf course, get some time to myself, clear my head. I don't check my phone while I'm out there. And I'm really, really enjoying that, man. And it's helping me to swing out when I'm with my family and be even more present. So that's a really cool thing that's kind of developed over the last 4 to 5 weeks. Now I got to put some boundaries on it because I love doing it. And so it's like, hey, you can only do it with times that you're not taken away from your family, because I've already learned that lesson. And then also, make sure it's productive with people that you want to build relationships with. So I would urge everybody here to find things like that you can pour into, and it's challenging and it gets you the opportunity to kind of get out of your comfort zone, but also, put some competitive drive into something. Chris Mills is out in his backyard, wherever he lives, shooting a bow and arrow. I don't know why he shoots bows and arrows, but he goes back in his backyard and shoots a bow because he has to focus on that one thing, and it helps him, kind of unwind and do things like that. So I wanted to ask you, man, is it your runs that allow you to do that, or where do you find that competitive drive? Where can you focus all of that energy at and, help people find that for themselves, man? I'm just curious.
Man, it's interesting because, my thing is car meets, right?
Yep.
I like to go to cars and coffee and spend Saturday mornings or Friday evenings hanging out with folks who are passionate about wasting money on vehicles.
Sure.
So yeah, that's kind of the weird thing. I don't know if it's weird eccentric, but kind of out of the ordinary. As a kid, I saw cars as the way to freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Right. 16th birthday was all I needed because that was where I could get my license. And so to bring it, full circle and be able to have some of the stuff that I aspired to when I was a kid, it excites me on a number of different levels. And then to be able to spark that in little people, right? Because the only folks that can do that are folks who are doing well.
Right.
Right. If you're not doing well, you don't have the opportunity to participate in some of these things. And just a smile that comes on people's faces when they see something that isn't run of the mill does something for me. And I still get excited when I see things that are kind of out of the ordinary. So, yeah, man.
Well, I think the point being, find something for yourself that is not just your work, and you can enjoy it. You can put some competitive drive into it, and it allows you to kind of swing out. If you're a compressor, if you're a cleaner, if you're somebody that has the dark side, you can allow that to come out while you're doing that and put it back away and get on with your life. So that's been a big help for me. The intention for this week, you guys, this is more of the same. Okay. We're kind of in the grind phase. I could tell this week, stuff was starting to heat back up. Right. And, I keep telling my wife, she's like, every week for you is a bigger week. That's all you ever say is, oh, it's a big week. It's a big week. Well, that's because it's true. And, at the end of the day, what comes down to mattering is, what matters most is continuing to compound on what we were doing previously. And so I am in the grind. I am in the grind of, putting in the work. And so I don't have a ton of huge insights this week other than, we had Ezra's birthday on Wednesday. We've got his party tomorrow. I was at my grandma's funeral on Monday and did the eulogy there, was a pallbearer and got the food set up for everybody and took care of that. So, this week was another short week, so to speak, for me in regards to, working. But now I'm in the grind phase because, we've got 3 large projects going on. I am hiring a marketing director who starts on the 26th. We made an offer to a director of finance who's a previous CEO and COO of a private equity firm that has $3 billion of assets under management, and she's interested in joining the team at FTW. So that's super exciting, and I think that the point that I'm trying to make here is not every week's going to be huge breakthroughs and massive wins. There are some great wins here, but you have to enjoy the process, and so every day that I wake up, I'm like, what? I got to make this fun. I got to enjoy this. I got to create sustainability. And that's what this week is all about, is sustainability, creating some new habits for myself and trying to level up again, because, I think that what we've talked about in the past is, focusing on the health, right? So I've implemented a new regimen of tracking my food and weighing in at least once a week. And I'm proud to say I started at, the doctor said 285, but my scale said 277. But I did weigh in after drinking 5 pounds of water in the morning. So I know it's true weight loss at 275 this week, guys. So I lost 2 pounds from just being mindful of what I was eating and working on better foods and things like that. So going to continue to track my food, to use the app that I'm using, which is Noom, by the way. I know a lot of people use MyFitnessPal. I'm using Noom because it's helping the psychology around the eating, and it's helping me to change the relationship that I have with food. And so that's really, really important. It's challenging me to eat different types of food. I'm a big red meat guy, heavy on the fats, peanut butters, oils, avocados, red meats, pork, and I've got to start throwing some more broccoli and asparagus and greens and all this stuff into my diet, which I don't like, honestly. I just don't like it. But I don't like, a lot of the things that I do. I don't always love getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but I know that that's going to compound onto the next, to the next thing. So being more present with the family, putting the phone away, being able to find time to be present and not having that phone around me has been a huge win. I've been tracking that every single day. And that's been a great thing so far. And it's not easy to do. but you have to be intentional about it. I got to walk upstairs, put it in the room, come back down, and take care of that. And that's one thing that's tangible that I can track on a regular basis. So I've had a great week in regards to the intentionality that I've set out for new habits, and that's created some new wins that I'm gonna talk about a little bit. But I want to make the point again that every week is not going to be this big breakthrough. But what happens when you compound these winning weeks, what I call winning weeks together, is those breakthroughs will come. And maybe after I tell you what I've done this week, you'll probably be like, dude, that is a breakthrough week, but it just feels normal now. And so, I've had to reset expectations with myself to say, okay, well, you're achieving things, which is good, but don't lose momentum and steam and inspiration. The Finish Strong Friday today was all about inspiration in spirit, not motivation. And I still love the motivational stuff, guys. Jerome still sends me the Goggins tapes, the things that you should do in the morning. I got it up right here in one of my tabs. I can see it, but it has to come within, and you got to figure out that why that's going to push you when the going gets tough. And I'm not saying the going is tough right now, but we're kind of in this point of grind mode that just allows me to say, okay, I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to push through this, and I'm going to love the process while I'm doing it. And that's kind of what this week was all about, especially with the outside forces coming in with the funeral, with the birthday, and all those different things. I'm able to swing in, get done what I need to, swing back out, and stay sustainable, man. So I wanted to stop right there and just kind of, pause for a second and let you dig into anything that I said, man.
What did the people in your house say when you put the phone up the first night, and then the second night, and then the third night? Was it your point of conversation?
So it was a second level effect, right? So I put the phone away, and guess what I started doing? I started helping out more around the house. The first time I've done laundry in my house since September. It's July, and I have not done laundry since I've lived here. And so guess what? Taylor saw me taking the clothes from upstairs and taking them downstairs and doing the laundry. I was helping out with the dishes more. I was sweeping the floors, getting the kids put to bed more. So I think it was the second level effect that actually had more impact on kind of the putting the phone away. But when the phone went away, I started to look for things that I could do to help out. And that was the big benefit, man.
And what was the response to that? Because she likes acts of service.
I can tell you that the response was, Logan, it looks like you're making a very intentional effort to spend more time with us and help out. And I just love that. And that I'm very appreciative of that. She said that multiple times. So that's the result, man. That's the benefit.
Superhero husband. Here we go.
Here we go.
That's outstanding, man.
Yeah, man.
So can we talk about the funeral a little bit? Talk about the experience. Absolutely. And what, that loss, or I don't even know if you want to call it a loss, but
yeah,
your grandma transitioning and reflecting and writing a eulogy did to you and for you.
Yeah. This is the second one that I've written in my life. I wrote my dad's, obviously shared that with everybody here on the podcast. If you haven't heard that, go back to November or December. I don't remember when that actually came out. Maybe it was January, but the episode is there where I write that and actually read that out loud. What it does for me is allows me to gain perspective on life again. That's what happens is I have a renowned respect for a life. I think that what happens when I sit down to put some words together, and maybe we'll read that one here in the near future. But when I do that, it helps me gain perspective on how valuable life actually is, and how short it is, and how decisions that you make impact the outcome of your life. And so, that was very helpful for me. When I got done writing it, I let T read it, and I made a couple changes. And all I tried to do was, highlight the fact of my grandma and the fighting nature that she had in her life. She lost 3 children. Before she passed away, she lost 3 children, 1 to a car wreck and 2 from I guess it would be complications from alcohol and some other things. And so that's not easy. And then she lost the first husband and then got remarried. So she had lost 4 very close people to her through her whole life. Then she got breast cancer and beat breast cancer. And then she got hit by a truck and beat that, broke her back and beat that. One story I'll tell you guys about my grandma. She got hit by a truck, flew 10 to 12 feet in the air, and her neighbor saw it, run down to make sure she was okay. And my grandma looked up at her and said, I forget the lady's name. She was at the funeral, but she said, "Hey, could you go check my chili on the stove? I don't want it to boil over." What? She just got hit by a truck. Her back is broken. And she looked at the lady and said, "Please go turn my chili down on my stove. I don't want it to boil over." Like, it's just fierce toughness, sitting there with a broken back. Then she gets done with that. And then she, early onset dementia happens. She gets up in the middle of the night and falls down 20 wooden stairs and breaks her neck. And then she beats that and goes back home and lived at her house for another 5 or 6 years without any, she had help. Don't get me wrong. My mom definitely helped. But and then COVID happened and she caught that and she had some other complications. But I think what it helped me understand was you have to fight. You have to fight in life. You cannot give up. And, the toughness, the tough as nails, grit, the grittiness of these older people and these older generation, we can take a lot of advice and, learn a lot from those people. And it obviously meant a lot for my mom, for me to be up there, saying those words. And I think it did a good job. Everybody came up afterwards, said, "Hey, you did a fantastic job. You're a great speaker." I don't care about that. What I was just trying to do was honor the impact that lady had on my life and everybody that was there. And so, it just gives me perspective, Jerome, on life, and it helps me say, you know what, these are the things that are important and these are the things that aren't. And, you need to make sure you grasp onto the things that are, because they can be gone so fast. And so then, go from a funeral to my little man, 1 year old, and he wakes up on his 1-year-old birthday and has no idea. But I'm looking at this kid, and I don't have a picture of him behind me, guys. I need to get one, but I'm looking at this kid and I'm like, I still look at him. I'm like, how are you my son? Like, it's just amazing, it just still blows my mind that I got a little man that is 1 year old, and he's going to, be my predecessor, so to speak, in regards to what I'm trying to build and foster him through life. But, you go from a funeral to a 1-year-old's birthday. And so I had the ups and the downs, of life this week. So honestly, it was helpful because, I kind of saw the circle of life full cycle this week. I saw my grandma sitting in the casket, picked her up, and almost fell. It was raining, of course, on a funeral. It was raining, and I'm walking through the mud in my, nice suit and Kohans. My feet are sinking 3 feet down. But at the end of the day, everybody's headed to that same position. So we have a finite amount of time, memento mori, right? That's always kind of in the back of my mind. But then on 2 days later, I'm sitting there looking at this beautiful little kid that, with God, my wife and I were able to create life. And that's, a beautiful thing. And so I got kind of the whole circle of life deal this week. And it just helped me gain a lot of perspective and make sure I'm focusing on what's most important.
I love it, man. The reflection. You're going to die, in case you don't know what memento mori means.
That's exactly right, man. So I'm going to talk through some wins for this week, you guys, because I want to make sure that you understand that, the grind weeks still matter and there still are wins, and it's important to pull those out. And that's how I'm able to grind all of the time. But I also, want to make sure that I touch on an article, and this will be in the learnings piece. I've got some other learnings, but I got an article here I want to put everybody up on game on. So we'll spend 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the episode talking about the 8 things that self-made billionaires do differently. And I want to highlight a few of these things that have helped me the past 6 months. And I'll obviously, if anybody ever wants that article, just go to Medium and search that title. It's by Michael Simmons, a guy I'm following right now. We'll touch on that a little bit. But some of the wins was, obviously putting the phone away and making T feel special. We went under contract for a new 108 unit deal yesterday, and it's in a market that we do not have any assets in. So I'm very excited about the challenge of raising capital, operating in the new market. So I get to, really learn the demographics and psychographics of Lincoln, Nebraska. I get to craft a new story. I get to bring a new opportunity and not just in Kansas City to our investors. And that's a huge win because, as we continue to grow as a company, we're going to need to continue to look at new projects. So just going through the exercise of having to evaluate a new market, find partners and vendors in a new market is very valuable, and it feels like growth. So that feels like a huge win that it's officially under contract. Obviously helping out with my grandma's funeral. We talked about the eulogy, being a pallbearer and doing that stuff. So that was a big win. We've got a new office project. So not only are we going outside of Kansas City, we are also starting to look at different asset classes. If you guys follow commercial real estate, which I'm sure a lot of you listeners do, multifamily has been hot. It's extremely hot. It's difficult to find good projects that still make sense. And even though that, I'm seeing more deals now go under contract and being closed than anywhere else, doesn't mean that they're good deals. Okay. It just doesn't. It just because the debt's cheap and people are getting deals done don't mean they're really great deals. You just have to be careful. So, we're obviously moving into, or we're already in our office building. It's a 40,000 square foot office building. And, we're getting ready to do the webinar in 30 minutes, not live. We're just doing a pre-recorded one, but I sent out a teaser, Jerome, to our list. And, we're raising 1.1, I think, for that project. And damn near the whole thing is already done. I had the guy on the golf course today said, I'll just take the rest of whatever's left. Just let me know. And that's awesome, right? I mean, it's great. Some people will fall out and whatnot, but having our investor base, be open and willing to look at new asset classes, because I spent time, putting a deal together for 7 months, by the way, de-risked the deal. We're buying 40,000 square feet at less than $80 a square foot on the streetcar stop in Midtown, fully leased up. I mean, come on, man. If somebody says, hey, why are you doing an office deal? And I tell them that, and they're like, oh man, you're still crazy. No, I'm not, because I have 5-year leases with a medical office tenant, 2 real estate firms that need to be in the office, and a construction firm that's doing the streetcar. So, I mean, it's just everything came together. And if I tell you the debt terms, which I will, 3.5%, 18 months interest only, 5-year fixed, 25-year AM. I mean, wow. I mean, on an office project. So, I mean, it just makes a lot of sense. So that's a huge win, having that equity raise pretty well completed, and feeling really good about, obviously the legacy project that we've got. We're still working through a few things there, but it's on track to be closed. And we're, very excited about that transition with the management and all that stuff. So, that's the professional side of things, I guess. The last win I wanted to share was starting to plan some travel out, man. So I'm very excited about this. This is something I haven't probably talked about because I haven't traveled, but, got the trip booked for Jerome's event in March. We're going to St. Lucia. We teased that last week. If you want to learn more about that, go back and listen to the last 3 minutes of that episode. But I got that booked. I've got a trip in September with Taylor and the kids to Florida. I've got a Mexico trip in October. I'm going to Austin, Texas in October, and I'm going to the Intelligent Real Estate Investors Conference in California in January. And all of those things are booked. So it's very exciting for me to have things like that to look forward to. And it feels definitely good to be back traveling, making new connections with people. And most of those events and trips are business related. But you know what? Business is pleasure here. So everybody asks, are you traveling for business or are you traveling for pleasure? And if you're doing things right, it's both. All of the time, man. It is both. So, those are all the big wins, man, from this past week that I wanted to share with you guys. I didn't talk about Ezra's birthday, but, we got the big party tomorrow, and a huge win is having a healthy, happy little guy that, is 12 months old now and is just doing great. So all those are some big wins from this week.
Whoa, that's a whirlwind, man. So what got you to the place where you're ready to travel?
Well, I think people started having events again, which is good. And so, I mean, I'm obviously, everybody knows I'm a part of the Raise Masters Mastermind, and there's some big names in that group that I want to make sure I'm building relationships with. And, I can go down there and in Austin and build those relationships and feel good about that. And then the conference has been always a good thing for us to do. And so, I mean, I think the only thing was just that people started having events again, which is the big win. But then pre-planning that stuff and taking the time to get it on the calendar and plan for it in the future is a huge opportunity, and excited about that. But that's nothing really other than the fact that I think people are starting to have those events again.
Got it. Okay. I'm still seeing mixed reviews in the marketplace. Some people are like, "Oh, I wish it was virtual." Others are like, "I'm only doing it if it's in person." And so it's just been really interesting for me.
Well, yeah. I mean, you are on the forefront of all of that. And I'm definitely not I like to be in person. So I'm definitely not a virtual event type of guy. And so that's tough for me to keep my attention. So if you ask me, going to those events and meeting those people in person is important for me. And also, man, I like to get out and see other markets too. I mean, that's important for me as well. I operate in this little Kansas City bubble of, 2.5 million people here, but at the end of the day, it's Midwest, it's insulated. There's a lot of old school thinking here. And so it's always great to get out and expand my mind and connections and relationships and see new things too. I always have new ideas when I come back from stuff like that.
Got it.
So some of the losses, man, impatience with listening. This is something I've been trying to work on with a curiosity, and it's not with necessarily my family. It's more or less, I've been trying to take less calls, and a lot of people reach out to me and want to chat, and I've built a brand by doing that. But when somebody shows up on a call with me and nothing's prepared, there's no clear reason while we're having it, or I run into somebody at the office and they want to talk for 15 minutes. It's like, dude, what those people have not done is gone through Naval Ravikant's exercise of putting a dollar amount on your time. And I'm focused on $10,000 activities. Well, if you break $10,000 down divided by 60 minutes, Jerome, I can't do that math, but it's expensive.
It's a big number.
Yeah. I mean,
a big number.
So if we do that, if we do 10,000
on it. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Divided by 60 minutes, that's $166 a minute. Like, I don't have time for 15 minutes to blow, dang near $1,200. Like, that's just not something that I'm willing to do. But at the same time, I want to be respectful and empathetic as well, and pour into other people. But I've had some impatience with listening to people that I know the conversation is not going anywhere, and they're not prepared. So I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to work on not putting myself in those scenarios so I don't have to work on it. Right. I mean, when that's the real thing.
So the funnel, right? So everybody's trying to get there. And guys, ladies, don't ask to have an intro call for 30 minutes or an hour. It absolutely says what you think about that your time is worth. I think in 2 to 3 minutes, you can decide whether or not you want to build a relationship with somebody. And if you can't explain what you can do in less than 5 minutes, you have to go back and work on your messaging.
Yeah. Yeah. Respect people's time. That's the big thing. The only other loss I have this week, I ate over my calorie amount a few days, but I'm honing that in and eating less every single meal, and being okay with being hungry because my body's readjusting. So that was my other loss, but I'll keep honing that in, man. And
so, yeah, when you're hungry, are you filling the space with water?
Yeah. Yep. Just chugging as much water as I can. But what I'm having to do is eat less calorically dense foods. I love, mixed nuts. I love avocados. I love everything that has a high fat content, which has a lot of calories. I need to replace some of that with hummus and broccoli, things with more fiber that will allow me to feel fuller longer. and have a lot less calories in them. And so that's what I'm trying to focus on. And eating out less as well. And when I do eat out, having a salad with the dressing on the side. And I just cannot stand ordering that because I like the burgers and all of the good stuff. But I need to do a better job of my ordering when I do have lunch meetings.
I'm going to leave that there.
Yep. Okay. So some learnings from the week, man. Nothing tastes better than healthy feels. I will say it again. Nothing tastes better than healthy feels. Somebody asked me the other day, how do you keep your energy levels up so high and wake up at 4 a.m? Well, I drink, 15 pounds of water a day or whatever it is. I walk, I keep good things in my mind. I try to eat somewhat of a healthy diet, all of these things. I do my breathing in the morning. I set myself up for success, and you have to keep that energy going. And I've already started to feel a little bit healthier with the food choices that I've been making. And so, yeah, does that chocolate cake look good and taste good? Heck yeah, it does. But, the next day you might be feeling that on your stomach, or it might not be, inspiring to you whenever you're working out, knowing, hey, I'm just working off the chocolate cake I had. I'd rather be dipping into the fat stores and burning that stuff off, And so nothing tastes better than healthy feels. Everybody be healthy, not only physically, but mentally. I talked to a few people this week that are really struggling with some mental health stuff. And they say, hey, well, how are you keeping your mindset right? And how do you keep that, on a top level on a regular basis? Well, 1, I read. 2, I listen to books and YouTube videos. But 3, I surround myself with experts and people that are doing the same things that I am, or at least working towards that, right? And I mean, I'm very different than my 2 business partners. I'm the guy who's always looking for the next thing to level up, try something new, the lumen that I've got here, the breathing techniques, all of these things, Noom, the app that I use, the meditation. I'm doing that because I do show up at a high level for every single thing that I do. And I'm nothing wrong against anybody else out there. But if I ask you, if you show up charged, energized, and excited about what you're doing for every single meeting of every day, there's nobody that can say that out there. And so, not even myself, but I strive for that excellence because I want to bring the fire. I want to bring it. I want to be intentional. And that's what's helped me to have, I think, a level of sophistication, even if I'm not sophisticated. And what I mean by that, I'm young in the industry. I'm still learning things on a regular basis. I'm still tuning things in every single day. But what you can do when a white-haired person looks at you and says, well, how can I trust you? I'm 30 years older than you. You can bring it. You can bring the intentionality. It's like this meeting I had this week with a guy who could fund the rest of my deals for the rest of my life. And I had to basically say in the meeting, I don't need you. I know you think that I need you, sitting there in your beautiful office and sitting there and saying all of these things and grilling me on what my competitive advantage is. But guess what? Money is a commodity, sir. What you don't have is me and Parker and Corey and deal flow. You don't have that. So let's just pause on this for a second and flip the script, because I don't need you. I will go find it somewhere else. And so I'm not that forward, obviously, but that's what you have to be thinking about in your brain when you go into these kinds of conversations. If you do not have the experience that maybe somebody else does, you can level yourself up through bringing it, being energized, charged, and confident. So, and the way that I do that is I obviously educate myself a lot, but I think through a lot of things, and we're going to talk about one way that I do that by inverting, questions and challenges, and we'll talk about that here in a second. I have this on my
from. Where did the "I don't need you" come from?
Well, I mean, it just came from the truth. I'm a truth seeker, and I'm going to get it done no matter what. Is it easier if you have somebody to, do something for you? Sure. But guess what? I didn't build anything that I've got right now by relying on anybody else. And so I don't need them. I don't need anybody else. I will figure it out. I'll find the right partners. And so I have a confidence in myself because I've been there and I've done it, and I'm continuing to do it on a regular basis. If you want to do it with me, great. If not, I don't need you. I will figure it out myself. So, I think that it's not boasting by any means. It just comes from doing the work. It comes from grinding it out. I put the picture up on LinkedIn of the grindstone and the nose, and nobody even wanted to comment on that post. And I thought that was quite funny because, at the end of the day, what I do and what people are doing that are building businesses on a regular basis are grinding that, embracing it. But nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody wants to talk about the deals being closed and all of this good stuff. But, if you're a true entrepreneur, business owner, the grind. And I'm speaking to you right now. You got to embrace that. You got to put your nose up against that and say, ooh, that hurts a little bit, but I'm going to love that blood. I could taste it and I'm fine with it, and bring it on, And so it's just a whole mentality, man. It's the cookie jar. We can go back and forth on a lot of different things, but if you're getting scraped around a little bit from here to there, and then you get knocked off your rocker, it's like, man, get back up and keep going. Like, I don't have any time or patience or empathy for somebody who says, man, I got knocked down and I can't get back up. Bullshit. You absolutely can. You absolutely can. I do it every single day. You got to be coachable. You got to be humble. You got to be focused and confident, but you're going to get knocked down. You're going to get beat around a little bit, and you can step back up to the plate and take another swing. It's like this little golf ball that I was hitting around earlier today. First tee, go out there. And by the way, I hit 100 balls before I even got on the first tee. I go up there, shank it into the woods. I was the first one, shanked it right into the woods. Got right back up there. I said, hey, 2-ball minimum on this first hole. Everybody's, obviously going to accept that. And so I set the next ball down there and cranked it 275 yards out into the fairway. It's like, dude, you just got to get back up to the plate. You cannot let it impact you. It's next play mentality, man. We're playing from the whistle to the snap. Okay. We're not playing the snap to the whistle. So it's a different game, man. It's a different game.
The clarity, the conviction. The certainty. It's really interesting, Logan. I see a lot of people wanting the outcome, but they don't want the work. They're fascinated with the trinkets and the trophies, but they don't actually enjoy the process of winning the championship.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's what you've just talked about is your commitment. And I think it came from your grandma. It's just we're going to go through this thing, and we're not going to fumble the opportunity that's been placed in front of us.
All right. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. One thing I've written down in my journal here every single week: get outside of your comfort zone. If you're putting off a hard conversation, if you don't want to do the workout, you don't want to eat the broccoli, you want to eat the chocolate, you want to do all of those things, that's fine. Say no and get outside of your comfort zone, because life begins outside of your comfort zone. People hate the word discipline. They hate thinking about discipline because it's like, hey, I got disciplined as a child. That's actually a different meaning. You have to discipline yourself so you can have freedom, right? And discipline equals freedom is on a shirt that I wear, 5 shirts that I wear on a regular basis, because if you want to have financial freedom, you have to have discipline about what you spend your money on. If you want to have health freedom and be able to move and jump and play with your kids, you have to have discipline around what you're putting in your mouth on a regular basis. And don't tell me that you cannot be conscious about what you are literally grabbing and putting into your mouth. It's something that you are doing. And so it's something that I do on a regular basis, too much, and I'm working on it. But discipline is what allows you to have freedom. And so when everybody's trying to start getting on a new routine, or they're trying to get their lives changed, what they don't understand is you have to start with the small steps. You cannot just chunk this whole thing down and say, okay, I know those first 3 steps, but I'm going to start at step 4. You will fail. You will fail
every time. Every single time.
And guess what? I'm going to beat you. And Jerome is going to beat you. And 1,000 other people are going to beat you, because we understand that you got to put your shoes on when it's raining outside, and you got to go run. and you got to get your 6 in, and you got to get your steps in, and you got to do all of these different things no matter what else is going on. But you cannot just say, I'm going to go run 6 miles day one. If your tail has been eating potato chips and sodas on the couch for a year and a half now, you're not going to be able to go run 6 miles. But guess what? You put your shoes on and go walk 5,000 steps. It might hurt. It will hurt. But that's the steps you have to be able to take. And, I was talking to a guy this week, and that's why I'm mentioning this, is he's like, man, it just seems like everything's going right for you. How do you keep on going that way? I'm like, do you want me to tell you what I do every single day? He's like, no, I don't want to hear that. Like, no, I'm good. Like, just tell me how you're getting deals and tell me how you're funding those deals. And I'm like, no. We got to start at 4 a.m. We got to start at 4 a.m. when I'm studying Poor Charlie's Almanac, when I'm reading macroeconomics, when I'm building relationships with other people. That's just tell me what new methodology are you using to get deals. And I just said, you know what? This conversation is not working. And I'm trying to give you what I'm doing on a regular basis that leads to all of these things, but you don't want to hear it. And yeah, that was hard for me to say, but I felt like it was the right thing to say in that moment, because this is a young person. They have a lot of potential, but they didn't want to hear that you got to put in the work every single week. Who else has a podcast out here every single week coming here and talking about wins and losses and reflecting to this level? And it might sound redundant and people might not want to listen to it, and that's fine. But guess what? This is what it takes to get to where you want to go. And I'm just starting. We are just scratching the surface. And it's just so important that you cannot have the outcome without putting in the work. So I'm going to get off my high horse off this a little bit and move on, because we're getting up on time here. But I think the message is clear. The weeks that you have to grind it out and you have to be that guy, that gal that can embrace it and say, bring it on, and not get down and be able to keep pushing through. That's the persistence that it takes. You got to get uncomfortable every single week.
You're locked in today, man.
So one thing I wanted to chat about real quick, because I teased it already, is the 8 things that self-made billionaires do differently. And I don't know how many we'll get through, because we have about 5 or 6 more minutes before I got to start this webinar. But the first one I want to talk about is from Charlie Munger. And he says, analyze what can go wrong instead of what can go right. And basically he says this: you have to invert, always invert. Turn a situation or a problem upside down, look at it backwards. What happens if all of our plans go wrong? Where don't we want to go? And how do you get there? Instead of looking for success, make a list of how to fail instead, through sloth, envy, resentment, self-pity, entitlement, all the mental habits of self-defeat. Avoid those qualities and you will succeed. Tell me where I'm going to die so I don't go there. So when you're thinking about a new opportunity, a new challenge that you have, a new business, deal, instead of just saying, how can this go right? Say, how can this go wrong? And then start to solve for those things. And that actually you get to the outcome. It's a little bit backwards. And I know it's a mental model that is not, fourth forward or fourth right, I guess is the right thing. And it doesn't make sense. But when you start planning how you can fail and actually mitigate for those things by inverting, is when you can actually start to have those things not happen. And I found this out doing brokerage deals, done, gosh, I don't know, 150 million of brokerage deals now, I guess. And here's how I start with a brokerage deal. I said, okay, I know where the numbers are. I know where the market is. I know what's going to happen in an inspection report. Instead of addressing every single one of those issues when they come up, what if we had plan A, B, and C for each one communicated to our client before we even get there? So what can go wrong in all of these things, and start having action plans for that. And I realized when you're working with other people, and the mechanics, the numbers of a deal might even be fine, but if they don't feel good about something, that deal's not moving forward. And so the way that you instill confidence in situations and with people is you have thought through all the things that can go wrong, and you know how to mitigate for those, and you have a plan for them already. I cannot tell you how much money this has made me in my life. I mean, and I don't just say money. I'll just say how much success inverting a challenge and a problem and being ready for it has brought so much success into my world. Not only that, it gives me the confidence because I'm not going to be caught off guard when somebody asks me a question or something goes awry in a transaction. You have plan A, you have plan B, and hopefully you don't have to get to plan C, but you also have that as well. So I wanted to bring that up, man, because I don't think people think like that very often, and they're not ready for that. But if you can think through those types of scenarios, which is not easy, and planning for that brings so much more achievement and success. So I just wanted to kind of see what your thoughts on that are, and just lay that out for people, because I think it's really important.
Yeah, I've changed the way that I talk about coaching because of that. It's all about insurance policies, right? We get our driver's license or our permit, and we have to have somebody ride with us along the way when we're getting started. And so what's the point of you going through the school of hard knocks and trying to figure it all out by yourself? I still don't understand why people choose to do that. They go on a journey by themselves, hoping to get an outcome, and they just don't have the support. Because here's the thing that I found. You don't have the new people that you need, back to what you were just talking about, right? You had to grow your network in order to be able to raise $1 million. I don't know how many millionaires you knew before you started, but I suspect the number was close to 0, right? You just had a guy say, hey, I'll take the rest. I don't know what the rest is, but I'll take the rest of the raise.
Yeah.
Right. You had to go meet that person. So they don't know the people they need to know to do the thing they're trying to do. And then on the backside, all the people that they know only know who they were.
Mm-hmm.
And they use that track record as an indicator of what the future success is going to be, not actually paying attention to all the changes and work that are happening. And so to go from that place they are to transform into the person they're becoming, I think is major. And nobody needs to be pumped up and think that something's a great idea. It's what can you do to mitigate the risk for the thing that you're going out and doing. And if you can figure out how to mitigate all the reasons why you shouldn't do it, you have absolutely no reason not to do it.
That's right. Well, we don't have time to get into the other ones. The only other thing that I'll say is from Ray Dalio. I'm studying Ray Dalio right now so deep because this guy is an independent thinker, but he's also studied cycles more than I think most folks have even thought about them. And we are in a really interesting time. If you want to go listen to Ray, one of the best episodes, 2 episodes, is with Jordan Harbinger on his podcast. He had Ray Dalio on. I forget what that podcast is called. It used to be called The Art of Charm. I think it's the Jordan Harbinger Show now. One of the best podcasts out there. He's been doing it for a long, long time and has the best guests. But anyways, go listen to his episode 1 and 2 with Ray Dalio, because we have some serious factors happening right now in the United States that, may happen. Like the situations that come out of these may actually, people think they might be catched by surprise, but it's really just history repeating itself. And so it got me thinking a lot about that. And I study Ray's book Principles, and I enjoy that. But more often than not, I like what Ray's feedback is in regards to where we are in as a country. And he says this: learn how to think independently so you can be smarter than everyone else. And there's this little breakdown of this where it has 2 verticals, or it has a vertical and horizontal. It says on the vertical, it's you are wrong and you are right. And on the top, or the horizontal axis, it's consensus is wrong, consensus is right. And Where you get extraordinary results is when the consensus is wrong and you are right. And so you have to think independently. I've seen a trend, and maybe you have too, Jerome, that all of these beliefs that a lot of people, and it's not just related to investing, it's just the world. I've started to see this theme that they just accept what is being told to them, either by talking heads, social media, or their parents from the past, that's just how it is, and that's how it's always going to be. And more often than not, if you're taking advice from somebody that is not in a position where you would want to be, it's probably not the best advice. And so you need to find areas where consensus is wrong and you are right, but you can only do that through independent thinking and first principles thinking that we thought about a lot. So I know we run out of time on this, but go check this article out. 8 things that self-made billionaires do differently. Spend a week on this every single day. Spend, spend a week on, or a day just reading one of the points. Don't try to take all 8 of these in. But it's a lot of what we talk about here on Compression, and he just lays it out beautifully. And so people that you should go follow and listen to, Ray Dalio, Charlie Munger, those are 2 guys that I really respect the way that they think about things. And I find myself a lot, not arguing, but communicating with people who are the consensus, and I'm thinking differently and acting differently, and I'm getting extraordinary results. They're getting poor results. And I'm like, there's something wrong here. I'm not going to listen to what you're doing because, you're not where, even I'm at right now. So what am I doing here listening to, what you're saying when it's just the same thing that I've heard a million other times, but it's not proven by anything. And so I know I'm rambling a little bit, but go check that article out. I think it's fantastic. We're going to leave with a quote today. It's this, guys. We've talked about the comfort zone. This is from one of the, I think, most successful artists ever. And I think his paintings go for millions and millions of dollars, and he's been long gone for a long time. But he said this: I am always doing things I can't do. That's how I get to do them. And that is from Pablo Picasso. And I just want to make sure that people understand that if you want to get outside of your comfort zone, that's where life begins. You have to start, and you have to give it a try. So go out there, compress. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode here. Big episode coming next week. Got some more closings to share with you guys. Going to update you on the goal. But don't be afraid of the grind. Embrace that grind. When it comes, put your nose right up against it and say, there you are. Now I'm where I need to be. Jerome, any last words, man?
We didn't get a quote.
I just did the quote.
Not that well. Okay. I wanted a rapper, but okay.
You didn't get a rapper today. You got Pablo Picasso instead, my man.
I want a rapper, man.
All right, go out there, make it happen. See you guys next week.
Hey, Compressors. If something you heard struck you, made you feel a little bit uncomfortable, good. Head on over to compressionpodcast.com. And then you can also subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts at. If you feel inclined to, please leave us a review. It's obviously helpful. But instead, I'm going to call you out today. I'm going to call you out and make sure that you do your part, sharing this message by sharing it with one person that might need to hear what we talked about today. Be great. Nothing else pays.